All right, everybody. So today we are going to talk about the material of pen and ink. And a lot of times when I say pen and ink, people think, well, am I about to work with a quill and pen? Am I about to do some old school calligraphy? When in reality, pen and ink can take the form of many different pens or ink sources. And today specifically, we are going to be working with Sharpie pens. And one of the most challenging things to do with pen is create a variety of textures and value within a drawing because pen is not like pencil. You experienced with your pencil last time that when you press harder or press lighter, you can create a different value scale, whereas with pen, it doesn't really allow you to create that same variation by pressing at different levels. So I'm going to teach you a variety of techniques that you can use with pen that you can even experiment with in order to create texture and value and a successful art piece. In your materials bag, you should have received a thin Sharpie and a thick Sharpie, and they vary in sizes, so you can have a difference in thickness whenever you are drawing. So you have your thin Sharpie, and you have your thick Sharpie. The difference isn't astounding, but you will notice it more when you actually start creating. And one of the first techniques I'm going to teach you is called hatching. And hatching is when you use lines over and over again to create value. So the more lines you use, as you can see that I'm layering here, the darker your area is going to become. So in my example, I'm going to draw a cube, just a simple cube. And in order to make it look three-dimensional, I need to add value. So I'm going to add some lines to the side, add some lines to the top, and that adds value and therefore a three-dimensional form. The second technique I'm going to teach you is called cross-hatching, which is essentially hatching, but you are taking the lines and you're actually drawing in different directions. So as I am starting my cube drawing over here, I'm going to add value by again adding those hatching lines. But then to create a darker value, I'm going to go back on top and start drawing lines in a different direction. And where I make the lines that different direction, that is where that value is going to get darker. All right, and the final example I'm going to show you, or the final technique, is called stippling. And stippling is when you use a series of dots to create value. So similar to cross-hatching or hatching, the more dots you do, the darker that area is going to become, and that is how you add value to your surface, and your form ends up looking even more three-dimensional. This technique is the most time-consuming. There are some pens that have been invented that stipple for you, but for our purposes in our exercise, we are just going to do it by hand. So what does this look like in an actual illustration? I am going to draw just a simple little coffee cup because I love drinking my coffee. And whenever you start sketching in your sketchbook, it can be as simple as this too. We really just want you to start getting comfortable and acclimated with drawing in pen. If you would prefer to sketch in pencil first and then outline, that is totally fine. And I am going to go back into the illustration with a thicker Sharpie to add some more variety with line. And line is a mark made on a surface that joins different points together. So it creates the outline of an object and separates my cup from the saucer. Line can also be used to create some dimension to a piece. So I want to add some variety of line here to make my cup look more interesting and dynamic. And I also want to make sure that I add some of the techniques that we just talked about. So I am going to incorporate some hatching into my coffee cup in order to make it seem more three-dimensional, to add some shadow, and to add some value. So now it is your turn to create some sort of drawing in your sketchbook using a sketchbook prompt. And my challenge to you is to incorporate some sort of pen experimentation and technique into your drawing. Now I do want to stress that even though I only went over 3 techniques, there are a variety of different techniques that you can use. So if you're feeling crazy and you want to try experimenting with different types of line, different forms of stippling, different kinds of shapes within your drawing, that is totally fine. Go crazy, and I am looking forward to seeing what you come up with.